Bonjour, minogisi ganekwe nandashnakas, anemiking nindoji makwadoram. My name's Kathy, and I'm a teacher here at KHS, and I'm from Fort William First Nation. Angela has asked me to speak to the land and climate change, soil, and share my opinion as a Anishinaabe and how our world has changed in the 50 years that I've been alive. One of the points that Angela wanted me to speak to is the importance of water. So as you can see, Lake Superior, Gitchagami behind me. For my family, this was incredibly important. This was how they traveled. My great-grandmother lived here in Squaw Bay, and if you can see out behind us, she used to canoe down to Grand Portage in the States to go to square dances. The Kaministiquia River, which separates Thunder Bay from our reserve, was incredibly important. When my mom was a little girl, her father at nighttime, once it was dark, would take all the girls in the family down to the river to wash. My grandma told me a story of one time it took about 5 men to bring in a sturgeon into the house, and my mother was horrified. She thought it was a monster. And the river is where they got their food from. They used to swim in there when they were little kids. Unfortunately, because there's a huge paper mill just upstream, the river is so polluted that it doesn't even freeze anymore, even though the temperatures here in northwestern Ontario dip down into the -30s and sometimes -40s. And my grandmother told me to never eat anything out of the river. She actually also told me not to eat anything out of this lake. There's certain places just around Thunder Bay where there's toxic blobs, and she had asked us not to eat anything out of the lake. When my mom was a little girl, her grandparents would pull up in a boat onto the Cam and take her, and they would go for weeks at a time. And all of these islands out here that you'd see, they'd travel there and fish and just travel from island to island. We certainly don't travel by boat anymore, but we have a huge connection to this lake. We're very connected to the other communities that sit along the shores, the north shore of Lake Superior. We were connected all the way down to Duluth and all the way to Wakwemekong, which is on the other side of Lake Superior. So the people from my community also used to travel to these islands that you see in the background. They would leave early in the morning when the water was calm, and they would travel to Pie Island. And then the next day they would travel onward to Isle Royale, which is actually part of Michigan, if you can believe that or not. So our people, the water was the highways. The rivers were how we traveled and moved inland during the winter months to the smaller lakes where they would stay and then come back to the shores of Lake Superior in the summertime. Water has changed so much in my lifetime. I hope this information and these teachings help you in your course and how you walk through life. Miigwech.